Welcome back, Patriots. Welcome to Sons of Liberty 1773. This is indeed where men and women from around the world gather in defense of liberty. I am your host, Bill Bailey, who will be trying to channel the patriotism of America's founding fathers, although I'm pretty slimed up from my 2 days in Lansing. Evil place, you know. We get down there, and I'm going to talk about the Michigan Republican convention where we just elected new leadership, and I'll get to all that. I have a lot to share with you. I think you're going to learn a lot in this video. I'll try to go through this information as quick as I can, but we get down there and park and walking down the sidewalks, and like every manhole cover in the city is billowing steam out around the seams. There's these 55-gallon drums like stacked like a chimney on the sidewalks with steam blowing out of it. I mean, I think the city is wicked. It's evil. I actually think Lansing is built on a porthole to hell, much like this picture. And I can't wait. Whenever I go to these places, folks, I'm not a city person, but I think Lansing is Sodom and Gomorrah. I think it is an evil place. I think the Capitol building, I think many would agree with me, are full of demons, like the three witches. And just a lot of evil down there. I just don't like it. I think I could smell the sulfur in the air. I'm not sure what's causing that steam. I mean, what they're burning under the city. My simple explanation is it's the sulfur and hell and hellfire and brimstone. I think I could hear demons screaming out of the pipe. So there's that before we get started. So just a little Michigan history, folks. Michigan, in my lifetime, has never, in the slightest fashion that I can remember, been a blood red Republican state. If anything, it has always been a deep blue state, and it's getting a deeper blue. It may go red, but it's not Republican red. It's, hammer and sickle communist red. Last time we elected a Republican senator in the state, you know when that was? I believe it was November of 1994. Last time we had a Republican governor that actually kind of operated like a Republican in my lifetime, and this ain't saying much, folks, was John Engler. The one good thing he did, he was kind of pressured into signing the Headley Amendment, capping our property taxes. And he was elected in 1991. Since then, Rick Snyder was to me, he's just a complete Democrat. Somebody at work, somebody I know that went out west when he was running, when we were in the Republican primary back then, said, "Who's running for governor?" And the guy answered. He said, "Rick Snyder." He goes, "No, I mean, who's running as a Republican?" He goes, "Rick Snyder." And the guy kind of went. He said Gateway Computer always gave to the Democrat Party, and I call him Rhino Rick Snyder. So we have, bad leadership when we do get a Republican. I mean, the Republicans that end up in control in Lansing. There's Steve Carra. Dare Rendon. There's Neil Frisky. There's a half a dozen maybe. Maybe a little more than that, but they'll never have enough power to change anything. So in the leadership of the Republican Party has always been terrible. And so what happened with this precinct strategy that kind of Steve Bannon started talking about, and I can't believe there's another guy that's always on Bannon's show that really pushed this, had a website because people are really upset, with this country and what happened in 2020. And so people got involved in signing up, people that were never political, running to be a precinct delegate because there's open slots everywhere. A lot of times you just put your name on the ballot, you're elected as a Republican precinct delegate. And then you can go to your county convention and you can vote on who goes to represent you at the state convention. So what happened is we took over the state party. And there was a battle at the endorsement convention when Matt DePerno and Christina were running to be endorsed by the Republican Party. Christina, who is a gifted speaker, magnetic. She won at the endorsement. You got to get 50 plus 1, okay, to win. She won like by 52%. Matt was in a heated fight. I mean, they despise Matt DePerno. They're scared to death of him. And it took two rounds, I think it went to, and for Matt to win the endorsement convention. And then they fought him from the endorsement convention all the way, fighting against him. I mean, they would rather have Dana Nessel and Jocelyn Benson than and Tudor. And they would rather have Gretchen, the three witches, serious, the RINOS in the Republican Party, because the Uniparty feeds the beast. The big donors, they don't care if it's the Republicans or the Democrats they're giving money to or who are in power, as long as they're working for them, as long as they have their back. So they would rather, and it shows at the polls, they would rather go out and vote for the three witches rather than Tudor Dixon, Christina Caramo, and Matt DePerno. That's how screwed up this state is, folks. I'm not exaggerating. And the RINOs fought Matt DePerno the hardest. I mean, all the way to the election. And it started again when he ran for Michigan GOP chair. I mean, the attacks, the slander, just so much disinformation. Christina wasn't their target. Their target was Matt DePerno. And one, he's endorsed by Trump. Two, he's a brilliant lawyer. Three, he's the greatest threat to the establishment that's ever ran for a political position, in my opinion. So the slander started coming last week. I was getting text in my phone, complete lies about Matt. And then it says, vote for Christina Caramo. So I texted Christina. I said, Christina, are you sending this garbage? And she said, and you can't call the number back, okay? Because it's some sort of rotary system, a different number. You call it, there's no answer or nothing. You can't text it or anything. So they did it incognito. Christina said it wasn't her. I believe it wasn't her, that she didn't have knowledge of it. That doesn't mean it wasn't someone on her team. But I guarantee you it was somebody that despises Matt DePerno. So let me just show you a couple pictures I got, a couple articles I want to share with you. Let's see, where do we start? So that's the convention floor. I think people are getting ready. They're piling in. I think there's like 2,000 delegates, there, not including the alternates. So, there was a few thousand people. That's me in the hall, I think, getting ready to go in. It is me. I just think at the time I was in the hall getting ready to go in. That is me with Christina Bobb, and I will tell you that's President Trump's one of his attorneys. I'm thinking he has many, but that's one of his close attorneys. She was at Mar-a-Lago when the raid happened. I got to talk to her for quite a spell, and she is such a nice person, and she was there to support Matt DePerno. They know that the only chance, and I'm gonna agree with them, and I will tell you why, for Michigan to go red in 2024, and it's going to be so important because I believe Michigan will be in play was with Matt DePerno. I'm not saying Christina Caramo is not going to do it, but I believe it'll be tougher for her to deliver a victory, and I will help her in every way I can, obviously. But Christina Bobb is just a nice, soft-spoken person. She's a Marine attorney. She said at Mar-a-Lago, the raid was ridiculous, that they took personal items, I think. I forget. But in, the state of our country is terrible. And I told her, I said, Christina, we're never going to get our country back as long as the CIA and the FBI exist. They have to go. They have to be gone. The treason they've committed against this country is unforgivable, and I know what George Washington would have did to them. They're lucky George Washington isn't here with us, because their breathing would have ceased real quick. But she is just a wonderful person. It was really nice to have a talk with her. I go, hey, I didn't know she was coming, or I would have brought my book that she just wrote, titled "Stealing Your Vote." But I did get her to sign my. Hang on a second. my credentials somewhere, one of these. I got a all, so there's my delegate pass. You can see that. Oops, where am I here? Right there. And this was my all access pass, and I had Christina sign it, and I will use it for a bookmarker in her book that I'm just starting to read. But she goes, you know, how did you like the part about you and Matt? Because I read that right away, and I go, it's perfect, spot on. She goes, oh, that makes me feel so good, and it was really good and well researched, and you can tell in her writing, she's a great writer, by the way, so that was nice. And then that's me with my pass that she had just signed. There's Matt DePerno, Garrett Soldano, Mike Lindell, and Christina Bob speaking at a breakfast get-together. And there was probably several, I don't know, a few hundred people in that event there. I did hear for, you know, we'll get into some reasons why people voted for Christina Caramo and not Matt. One of the reasons was, and first time I met Garrett Soldano, don't shoot the messenger, folks, I'm just giving you the feedback I got, is that some people do not like Garrett Soldano. They just don't like him. I met him for the first time. I will admit seems like a military guy. He's pretty stiff and regimented, but he was a tremendous fundraiser. I mean, he raised a ton of money running for governor. I mean, excellent fundraiser, and I believe that's why Matt chose him. And Matt was campaigning with all the gubernatorial candidates on the Republican ticket, and they probably became friends to, you know, I assume. So that was a little feedback. That is me speaking. I seconded Angela Regas, who I'm going to introduce you to here. She's Michigan's Marjorie Taylor Greene. Nominated Matt DePerno, and I went on stage to second that nomination. I had a 1-minute speech, and the reason I'm bent over, folks, is I'm 6'6", and that podium is made for someone 4'8". And I wanted to make sure my voice is close enough to the mics because they're going to hear me. I want to make sure they hear me. Plus, these things I got to be kind of close to what I'm reading. But the guy there on the stage, I had a minute, and he cut my mic early, and he did the same thing to Angela Regas, which is didn't seem to do it. I didn't catch him. A couple other ones he did, but as a rule, everybody else got to speak. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I didn't appreciate it. And if somebody goes over by 2 or 3 seconds, isn't it just a courtesy thing? So that's that. So all right, let me introduce you, and I want to talk about the evil. And I've been to these conventions before, and I will tell you the first time I went to one was back when Norm Hughes, who was a conservative warrior, he's passed away now, was running for state chair against Ronna Romney. That's when Ronna Romney won. And all the backstabbing and evil that went on in there, I had a knot in my stomach for days after that. I told Renee, I don't even know how our government has survived this long. It's just so evil and wicked. And, I will give the Democrats, the communists, I call them now, credit. They are unified. They are a well-oiled machine. They get behind a person and they move forward. They plow across anybody that gets in their way. Not here, because it can't be helped, because we have constitutional conservatives that want to follow the Constitution, the rule of law, and protect our God-given rights. And then we've got a party full of we got our own communists. So it's hard to unify, folks, when you're like this. And the Democrats love this. They love that they've infiltrated our party. It's a problem. And I will tell you, I held a fundraiser here right in the barn I'm in right now for Matt and Christina. It was $500 a plate. And it was my wife and I and some other people helped. And it was a great event. And they're just, Matt and Christina are just, we couldn't have better representation. it just sucks that they were in the same race together. I told Christine, I go, why couldn't you get on the ticket with Matt? And this would be easy. You know, it'd be easy. And she goes, oh, I know. So it was kind of suck that at the end there we had to pick between them. But if people knew what I knew between the two of them, for this position, Matt was hands down the guy that should have won. And I'll get into what happened in the third round. And if one candidate's people would have voted for Matt, he would have won. He would have had the votes and walked away with it. But that didn't happen. So let me... I got to remember to show you the gun bills that are coming. There's so much bad stuff happening, folks, now that the Democrats have, you know, free reign, right? House, Senate, AG, Secretary of State, you know, the executive branch. It's really a bad state here in Michigan. But let me show you, there are some fighters in Michigan that are willing to stand up to the Democrats, stand up to the Rhino, because it's still the Republican Party in Lansing is by far controlled by uniparty swamp monster rhinos. There's only a few good actors, and Angela Regas, and I believe people are going to get to know her more and more as time goes by, is a fighter and a hero, a patriot. So let me pull this up, folks. Give me just a second. I have a lot of stuff here. And let me make sure that you can see it. Let me just make this just a hair bigger. And slide that over. So she said, I'm going to read this to you. And this was February 9th, before I turn on the video so you can hear her. She goes, this is what happened today when our previous approved list of floor speakers were denied the opportunity to speak on HB 4001, which is a tax increase for all of Michigan residents. The Democrats tried to silence us and you, anybody that lives in Michigan, on the floor as we advocated against this irresponsible corporate welfare spending bill. The $180 checks that will go out to each household, not each individual, will cancel the automatic income tax decrease that would have helped every taxpayer in our state. Sickening. So listen to Angela.
Point of order! Point of order!
We went through protocol to speak.
What rules are we operating under? What are the rules?
Whitmer's rules! We're operating under Whitmer's rules!
We are elected representatives who went through protocol to speak.
We have the right to debate the proposal in front of this body. Parliamentary law.
Our constituents want open debate. That is what we are here for.
Is that every member must have the right to present their own views for the consideration of the body. We respectfully ask why these rules are being violated and why we should not be allowed to debate this proposal.
We went through protocol to speak.
Point of order!
We submitted a list of speakers to speak.
You said if we asked for a list, then we could speak. We gave you a list.
We abided by the rules.
Point of order,
We
Madam
have
Speaker.
the right to debate.
There should be debate on this floor.
Madam Speaker, I'm asking you to recognize Representative Alexander.
There should be debate on this floor.
Nay.
We went through the rules, Madam Speaker. We abided by protocol.
Breaking parliamentary law.
He votes to speak just like each and every one of us. We are here to speak. We submitted a list of speakers.
Why did they shut our board down? Because she can. Wow.
Representative Beeson?
We went through protocol, Madam Speaker.
You're in violation of parliamentary law.
Keep jamming things through.
Specifically says that an essential part of free discussion is that every member...
We must allow dissent, Madam Speaker.
Consideration of the body.
Representative Bierlein votes nay.
That's fine. Karma will be
Representative Gorton votes nay.
And it will bring
Majority of
Michigan
the
more
members-
life in the administration of the president. Not only are we raising their taxes, to pay about $65,000 per job.
All right. there's more, but there's kind of a dead spot in the end. But she's a fireball. So they forced this bill through. They wouldn't allow any debate. They violate the law. They don't care, and they are going to stick us with taxes. I talked to used to be my representative here, but they redistrict. I think it was Ken Borton. I'll just say his name. At our caucus night, he was sitting by me, and I was talking about how proud I was of Angela. Said she's fighting for us. He goes, well, I know that looks good on video, but she got kicked off all her committees, and she won't be able to represent her people. I said, no, you're wrong. She was representing her people. She was representing all of Michigan. I want somebody that's going to go in and kick the tables over. Remember Jesus when he went in the tabernacle and they were gambling in there and stuff, and he was, pissed. That's what I want to see. And the committees, this is what the Republicans do. Now, it isn't going to matter now anyways because the Democrats control everything, and they're going to kick her off her committees anyways, probably. They just needed whatever reason. But the Republicans do this to Republicans. They did it to Matt Maddock. They if you play along, they keep you on the committees and, just be a good little player and vote the way we tell you to. If you buck the system, and I think Matt, trying to think if it was him endorsing Matt DePerno for Attorney General. Might have been. And he was going to run for Speaker of the House. They removed him from the committees. But it's even worse. When you go to like the Michigan legislature, there's this nice website, right? And if you want to find your House member, you just search Matt Maddock. They wiped off even his page so you can't get a hold of him. This is how broken, and I'm being kind, the Michigan legislature is. But I think probably some of this stuff is similar across the country. And then John DeMoose, who was just here at the fundraiser that I held for Matt and Christina, paid $500 and seemed like a nice enough guy. He just won the Senate seat. I heard he was a rhino, but the other person in the race I thought was worse, and he actually stuck it to us in his district when he was in the House, raised our fuel taxes and did some other stuff, so there was no way I was voting for him, so I voted for DeMoose. But this is at CapCon, Michigan. It's kind of a Michigan conservative watchdog group. 8 Republicans voted for Lansing's $946 million spending spree. 4 House Republicans and 4 Senate Republicans crossed party lines to help Democrats pass spending bills. And I'm going to give you people the names in Michigan. If you search this article, if you want to read it, just go to Michigan CapCon, and 8 Republicans voted for Lansing's $946 million spending spree, and it'll pull up in the Google search or whatever. So in the House, the 4 Republicans that voted for it were Cam Cavett, Sheboygan, Gregory Markkanen, Hancock, Michigan, Mike Mueller, Linden, Curtis Vanderwall, Ludington. He is a slimy rhino piece of crap. And the 4 senators are John DeMoose, Harbor Springs, Mark Huizinga, Walker, Dan Lowers, Brockway Township, and of course Ed McBroom, Vulcan, who's a slimy. He was a Senate Majority Leader when they had control, and he's as rhino-y as he gets. I think he transports up and down the porthole to hell from under the Capitol building. So DeMoose sent out an email to constituents after he voted with the communists for this, what was the number? $946 million spending spree. There's Gretchen the Witch holding it up, all happy. So he sends out an email to his constituents touting the state's gift of $200 million to an Escanaba, this is in his district, you get it, right? Paper mill, that is not required to create a single job, even though the money is labeled as part of an economic development project. The company has to retain the 1,000-job headcount it had as of October 22 and for a decade. Folks, isn't it nice to be in business with the government? You get a representative like DeMoose that will go to work for you and get you a gift of $200 million from the taxpayers' coffers. DeMoose, he's kind of red there in the picture, but I think he should be blue. I think he's blue. So, and if that doesn't piss you off, folks, if that doesn't piss you off, this next thing I'm going to tell you is, okay, this is what's coming. Michigan projects a $9.2 billion surplus, folks. $9.2 billion. That's what we have in the bank. And it says possible income tax cut. Well, let's see how the Democrats work that, right? They take it, and what they want. I talked to the guy that wrote the Capcom article. I actually called and talked to him because I had some questions about it today. He said that, I go, tell me what they're doing with our surplus, the Democrats. He goes, well, they're working to take to leave 0.2 of it. And I didn't know that it was 9.2 billion. I go, what do you mean 0.2? He goes, it's 9.2 billion we have in surplus. They want to take $9 billion. And they're probably going to pull it off because of people like John DeMoose and the other 7 RINOs that voted with the Democrats. But and what will the Democrats do with $9 billion? Well, they'll take $1 million or $2 million and give it to us to, send us a check, say, hey, we're cutting your taxes, or here's a gift, a stipend, here's $1 million for you. We're taking, what is that? 999. God, I got to think. What's a billion's 1,000 million? You get it. They're going to take almost all of it, and they're going to, throw us a bone, which will be nothing. And the way they do these bills, they'll put in a couple things the Democrats can live with, and then the rest of it's just, stealing our money. And not only are they going to take this money, they're talking about toll roads in Michigan. They're going to bankrupt the state. They're going to spend this money. Remember this, folks. We have a $9.2 billion surplus, and they're going to take the money, and they're going to give it to their teachers unions and, whatever socialized, the colleges and all their socialized programs. And, you get what I'm saying, I guess. The word's escaping me, but they're donors, they're political donors. They're gonna take care of them. But I will tell you, the problem with that is the Michigan Constitution has a clause. It's state constitution. This is an excerpt from our 63 Constitution. Appropriations, local and private purposes. The assent of 2/3 of the members elected to and serving in each house of the legislature shall be required for the appropriation of public money or property for local or private purposes, of which I believe some of that $9 billion will be spent on local and private purposes. But you watch, they will pass this with a simple majority, and they will break the law. I was talking to the person at Capcom, and he goes, what their problem is, that Republicans don't know they're breaking the law. They're just stupid. They don't understand the Constitution. They don't read it. And I ask him, I go, well, if they do that, can't we sue them to stop it? And he goes, well, they don't have any money. If you control one of the chambers, whether it's the legislature or the House, you have attorneys and money to use to sue the other side. The Democrats control everything, so they've got none of those benefits. So unless somebody comes to the Republicans' rescue with deep pockets or will take the case, for no money, they're going to get away with this stuff. Just pisses you off. I don't know any nice way to see it. And then for all you Second Amendment folks that, realize it's the Second Amendment that protects the First Amendment, are you ready? I just got this email like a day or two ago. So yesterday, anti-gun lawmakers, Democrats, filled bill packages to criminalize private transfers, require firearms be made available or unavailable for self-defense, and allow Second Amendment rights to be suspended without due process. So if you want to write these bill numbers down, I'm going to give them to you. There are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of them from the Democrats. And they control everything, folks. They're going to do this. It'll have to go to court. And hopefully the NRA or one of the gun rights groups is going to have the funding and the attorneys and the manpower to protect our Second Amendment here in Michigan. So here we go. Senate Bills 76, 77, and 78. Hang on, folks. Further criminalize private transfer of firearms by expanding Michigan's handgun permit to purchase system to all firearms. Such universal background check systems can never be universal because criminals, by definition, do not comply with the law. These laws are unenforceable without a firearm registry and turn otherwise law-abiding citizens into criminals for simply loaning firearms to friends or many family members. Senate Bills 79, 80, 81, and 82 impose a mandatory storage scheme for firearm owners, not taking into account an individual's particular situation. Those not storing firearms in compliance face prison time up to 15 years and fines up to $7,500 for unauthorized access by minors. In District of Columbia versus Heller, the U.S. Supreme Court held that storage provisions that prevent a law-abiding American from having ready access to a firearm for self-defense are unconstitutional. Do the Democrats in Lansing care if it's unconstitutional or not? You just watched Angela Regas chew him a new one and didn't seem to do much. Senate Bills 83, 84, 85, and 86 allow the seizure of an individual's firearms on baseless accusations without a hearing or other opportunity for the evidence to be heard in court. They permit the government to seize firearms based on weak and nebulous standards of evidence. A person subject to a suspension of a constitutional right should be entitled to high evidentiary standards, an opportunity to be heard, and the right to face his or her accusers. Civil liberties advocates from across the political spectrum have expressed concerns about these red flag bills and how the procure might lead to abuses because of insufficient due process protections in the bills. Please contact your lawmakers and let them know you want them to vote on these anti-Second Amendment, to vote them down, to vote against them, obviously, right? One of the bills is will ban the sale of, assault weapons, which, if you talk to Paul Pelosi, I think it's a claw hammer. But a semi-automatic rifle, AR-15 and such, you cannot buy, sell, or trade them in Michigan, but they will allow a grandfather clause for people that already own them, so long as you pay a fee and go to the state police and register your firearm. And we all know that gun registration leads to gun confiscation. So what are they going to do here in northern Michigan? Because I know a lot of people, folks, with AR-15 and other guns. They're not going to register their guns. It ain't going to happen. They're going to turn law-abiding citizens into felons. And it's like a 5-year prison sentence. They're going to have us in a revolution. And I mean, that seems like where they're taking us, but I digress. So that's that. And then let's get to the convention. So there were like Putman, the players. There was a couple others, but I mean the players were Billy Putman, beautiful family, but not going to raise any money. I mean, I think everybody knew that. Always wondered whether he was establishment or not. I can tell you we learned there. Scott, I think it's Scott Greenlee. He is a longtime Republican. I heard he's good at money. I mean, I heard people like him, but, you know, he's been in the swamp for a long time, and he may be a good guy, but I mean, I consider him establishment. So the way this works, folks, it's kind of ranked choice voting, okay? If we have 8 candidates and we're running for a race, whoever gets the most votes, I mean, if the most votes is 40%, and everybody got less votes than you win, right? And I will tell you on the first round, Christina Caramo won. I forget the number. She was like 29%. Matt was, I'm just guessing here, folks. Matt was like 26 maybe, and Scott Greenlee was 24, something like that. So no one got 50 plus 1, so it went to round 2. Round 2, the top 2 vote getters, again, was Christina Caramo and Matt DePerno. So 3 went to round 2, and that was Scott Greenlee, Matt DePerno, and Christina Caramo, and they got the most votes, which would send Matt and Christina into round 3. What happened after vote 2, Billy Putman got taken out. He starts some crap about Matt, his dad, and I'll explain it to you. One guy comes right up to me and looks at me, goes, "I'm going to just let you know, Matt DePerno, I looked him right in the eyes and he lied to me." And I said, "Really?" I don't think so. He goes, "Well, yeah, Billy Putman's dad said, you know, Matt DePerno was causing trouble with him because he spoke too long." And here's the backstory. You're allowed like 2 minutes, 3 minutes to make a nomination, to nominate someone. And then the person that seconds that, like I did for Matt, gets 1 minute. And they even killed the mic on Angela Regis and me. Billy Putman's dad comes on stage to nominate him, and he's just carrying on forever. So it wasn't only Matt's campaign said, how is he getting away with this? It was J.D. Glasser, who was another candidate, and I'll talk about him. So that's all. The candidates, including Matt, said, why was he allowed to do that? When you're cutting the mic on our people, and they said, well, Billy Putman agreed to give up some of his time to his dad. Well, I don't think anybody else was aware that you could do that, and I got a feeling the guy on stage, not a fan of Matt or Christina's, or, maybe likes Billy. So I think it was Billy Putman's dad. I may be wrong. Somebody in the Putman camp said, Matt DePerno's, trying to file a grievance and everything. And that's not what happened. One of Matt's team just asked, why was he allowed to vote, talk so long? And the guy explained it. So then the guy went up to the stage, the guy that cut my mic off, right? Went from Putman to this guy. Said, we want to know, did Matt DePerno, is he going to file? It's so stupid, right? It's so stupid. Is he going to file? We heard he's filing a complaint about, Billy Putman and blah, blah. Is that true? And this guy looks, well, it's all settled, So they take that as yes. So then they go to Matt, right? They find Matt on the floor and they ask him about it. And Matt's, like, what are you talking about? So that was the lie. And they're running around spreading this stuff on the floor, folks. This is what you deal with at these conventions. Then going around the floor was Matt's establishment. We can't vote for Matt DePerno. He's establishment now. Folks, the Webble lies that the Republican Party will tell to attack conservatives is never ending. So Billy Putman, when he gets knocked out, he doesn't tell his people to go vote for Christina or Matt. He says go vote for Greenlee, the establishment guy. So now, you got a picture coming together in your head, right? Whereas J.D. Glasser, and they do these deals, folks. The candidates talk and said, hey, if you don't make it through, could I count on you to get your people to vote for me? And J.D. Glasser, who I had some concerns about that, he may not be one of us. He throws all his support behind Matt DePerno. So I thought, okay, J.D. Glasser just gained a lot of respect with me. So what was going to determine the winner of this race is what happens with Greenlee's camp, because if he gets his delegates to vote for Matt blows Christine out of the water. It's going to be a done deal. And it didn't happen, folks. I'm going to give you the reasons that I Heard. Christina, or let me see, what's her Pago? I think it's Pago. Melinda Pago, Christina's running mate, that she picked out of Muskegon. I heard she's well loved. She's very likable. She's good at her job. And so some of them that voted for Christina weren't actually voting for Christina. They didn't like Matt, and they were voting for this Pago. There were people that didn't vote for Matt because they did not like Garrett Soldano. I heard that. There are people that voted for Christina, the RINOS, and I will share this in an article. I don't know if I have that, but they voted for Christina because they thought she will destroy, she will fail big time where Matt probably wouldn't, and the RINOS will take the party back sooner. Then there were the anti-Trump crowd, even though both of those candidates, Matt and Christina, were endorsed by Donald Trump. Donald Trump chose Matt. Donald endorsed Christina for Secretary of State and Matt for AG. But when Matt announced Matt's really close with President Trump. I mean, he's got his ear. It's just a shame that didn't win this position. I really mean, no offense, Christina, but Matt would have been the better person for this, for what we're doing. Now, maybe she'll surprise me, and I hope she does. Again, I will help her in every way possible. But people the anti-Trump Republicans, the RINOS, and they're in that room, there were a lot of them, were not going to vote for Matt DePerno because Trump endorsed him for Michigan GOP chair. And then there was the Kevin Rinke was there. I talked to him, who's pissed at Trump and his supporters, and he was working his way around the room because Donald Trump endorsed Tudor Dixon like a day before the primary or 2 days, and they think that made the difference to give us Tudor Dixon, and they felt slighted by Donald Trump, and they're not forgiving him. So they voted for Christina because of that. So and then all the lying and the nasty text. So Matt was getting pummeled by false information, multiple ways. None of it true, none of it deserved, where Christina kind of skated past all that. And she's a very talented speaker, and she's smart. Very Christian, very godly person. And I can tell you that I seen prayer circles in there, and I know what district it was, and I know they were praying for Christina to win. And I would like everybody to know that both Matt and Christina are both Christians. They're both, Matt's a devout Catholic. He helps with marriage counseling in the church. He has for years and has a great family. So there's that. So moving forward, let me share this article, what they're writing. And I knew the garbage articles were going to come out, right? Let's see if you can see this. Pull this up really quick. I was saying on the floor, and when we went into round 3, I was thinking, well, at least we're going to get an American first conservative warrior. I think Matt's the better person. He had the he's got all the right people. He's met so many wealthy donors. Christina was not good, folks. I just got to tell you this. She was not good at fundraising for money. I heard from 2 or 3 people that she wouldn't pick up the phone and make calls to try to raise money. And that's kind of the chief job of what she's going to be doing now. So they're going to have to, that's Melinda, I hope I got her name right, Pago, right there in the blue shirt. So I'm hoping they've got a good team and they're going to help her. I'm hoping that in the Republican donors, that, the old guard, the DeVos family, the Shostacks, and some of these big old wealthy, big donors that gave money, they're not going to give. They starved our candidates the last time. That's part of the reason we didn't win. Disgusting, by the way, that they did that. But I'm hoping Christina, she is Michigan's, I believe, our first, and she is a sweetheart. I gave her a big hug. I said, I just hate to be in this position where I got to pick between two people. But in this particular case, it was an easy decision for me, and it was Matt DePerno. But I thought, well, at least in this 3rd round, there's no way we're getting an establishment person. So I'm gonna leave here feeling somewhat good about what happened. If Matt wasn't in the race and it was Christina, I would have been jumping for joy, folks. But that's not what happened, and I feel bad that Matt didn't win. I'll just be honest. I feel bad for him. I know where he would have took the party and it would have happened quick. I don't know. Whenever you put how do you put, two friends in the arena to do battle with each other, they get wounded, right? And there's someone's going to win and someone's going to lose, and I'm hoping there's no animosity between the two, because I really think if we want to win Michigan and save America, that they need to work together and work together quick. And it could be that Greenlee called Karamo and was promised a position if he got his people to vote for Karamo. This is the kind of stuff that happens. I was really surprised that they broke so much for Christina. But again, in the first round, if we didn't have this ranked choice voting, Christina was the higher vote getter. But you got to, the system is you got to get 50 plus 1. So I said, I can't, I can already read the headlines. Election conspirator, denialist, radical right-wing QAnon nut jobs now lead the Republican Party, and Trumpers, and all the negative stuff. So this is at the AP, and this is one of the milder articles, by the way. Oh, before I forget, where are those? Let me pull these up really quick. Craig, hang on. Let me share these with you. So Craig Mauger is a left-wing loon. He's on Twitter all the time. He despises Matt DePerno. I'm going to say he's a full-fledged Democrat. That's the way I always took him. I mean, you'd have to, I don't know that, but I assume that. He works for the Detroit News. He doesn't like me. I used to battle with him on Twitter all the time. Ask him why he wasn't investigating this, but we'll investigate that, and because one benefited the Republicans and the other one benefited the Democrats. But I thought this was kind of funny, actually, if I got the right one here. So he was there. I think he goes to these events. So the bottom one, State Rep Angela Regas is now nominating Matt DePerno for chair. There was a mixture of applause and boos at the mention of DePerno's name in the convention hall. Now, I was backstage. I didn't hear any boos. But, there were some RINOs in there that don't like Matt. So, I mean, maybe possible, but I didn't hear any. But then I love this part. Bill Bailey, the plaintiff in the unsuccessful Antrim County election cases, seconding DePerno's nomination. Bailey gets pretty big applause from the crowd. probably pissed him off they had to write that, but I'm glad people know me. I met a lot of people that watch this YouTube channel too, by the way. And if you're watching this now, I was glad to meet you. Hope you stay involved in the party and keep doing what you're doing. And then this one by him. Many of the people who were behind, this is his take, okay? Many of the people who were behind Karamo's victory on Saturday also opposed Donald Trump's pick for governor in 2022. It's a Trump-inspired group for sure, but I don't know if it's a loyalist in the right term. So that's the Kevin Rinke, that was his group that, felt Donald Trump shouldn't have endorsed Tudor Dixon before the primary. There was also 2 other smaller factions of delegates, people quietly voting for what they thought would lead to a quicker chasm and then rebound to the party. And this is going to come into play in this AP article. So they're thinking Christina Karamo is going to destroy the party and then the RINOs will take it back, if not next election cycle, the one after. And then in the next one, he says, in the final round, there were some establishment types that voted for Karamo because they despise DePerno. Again, those are the RINOs in the party, folks. And those are the ones that wouldn't help us in Lansing when we needed help and that thing Matt and I were involved in. So I wanted to share that with you. Okay, let's get to this article. So AP, Associated Press, election conspiracist to lead Michigan GOP through 2024. And I was telling everybody this would be what the headlines would say. They're so predictable, the loony left. So Lansing, Michigan, election conspiracist Christina Karamo, who was overwhelmingly defeated in her bid to become Michigan's Secretary of State, was chosen Saturday to lead and she lost by like 14 points, folks. Even if you're fudging, things with the things we vote on, I don't think you can overcome that margin, my opinion. Who was overwhelmingly defeated in her bid to become Michigan's Secretary of State, was chosen Saturday to lead the state Republican Party for the next 2 years. This is the part I want to get to, and this is from Fred Upton. He is a rhino extraordinaire. Fred Upton goes, "We lost the entire state house for the first time in 40 years, in large part because of the top of the ticket, all deniers. It turned off a lot of voters." Former longtime Republican U.S. Representative Fred Upton said last week, "As I look at the state convention, it looks like it could be more of the same. The party may take a cycle or two to correct itself and to get out of the ditch that we've been in for the last couple of years," Upton told the Associated Press. The RINOs destroyed the Michigan party. That's why all the grassroots people ran to be delegates and are taking the party from them. So it works, like it's supposed to for we the people. I think, just let me check my notes and make sure I'm not missing anything else I want to share with you. So I had Trump haters voted for Karamo. Yeah, I think that's it, folks. So that's kind of my thoughts. I think what Christina Karamo should do, I haven't talked to Matt about this. I think he's still dealing, licking his wounds. I mean, Donald Trump endorsed him. Seth Keshel endorsed him. Mike Lindell endorsed him. Christina Bob, flew to be here with him. Carrie Lake endorsed him and was going to come. And I think, that might have made the difference if she would have actually made it here. But something happened with her case in Arizona, because she was going to be here. She was going to be at the get together that Matt held at the I can't think of the name of this little bar in Lansing across from the convention center. And then she was going to work the convention floor with Matt on during the convention. And I think if Carrie Lake would have actually made it here, that may have made the difference, possibly. But I will tell you, the RINOs in the room, Donald Trump could have been here in person, and I don't know that it would have switched them. But I think if we want to really forge ahead right now, we have less than 24 months, folks, to raise. Christina's got to raise $50 million. $50 million. You know how much the Republican Party has right now? A goose egg, zero. Matter of fact, I think they're in the hole because I heard they charged every delegate $50, alternate or primary delegate, and that raised, I think, like $200,000. Okay. That money was spent for the convention center. The convention went so long on Saturday that their time expired, and I heard from a friend that they had to pay another $60,000. They got charged for the convention center. If that's true, then I think we may be $60,000 in the hole, and we're $50 million short of what we need, and that may not even be enough. And the big donors are not going to help. They're not going to give money. They're not going to give money to help Christina. Carve that in stone. So we got to find new donors. And that was something I was going to say. Being Christina is such a lovable person, and I do love her. She's a great soul. I believe, our first black chair of the Michigan Republican Party, in a solid conservative, Christian conservative. I'm hoping that there's money from groups out of state that are going to want to help her succeed in her task, because it's a monumental task, and we'll start giving money. But would really be wonderful, and I'm not going to get in the middle of it, is if Matt DePerno, Christina Karamo, and Scott Greenlee, and maybe even J.D. Glasser all got together and really united And I get it; it's hard to do sometimes, folks, when you've been wounded. But during the campaign cycle. But we're all on these two especially. We're all on the same team, and I think if they could come together and get united and start making some videos and touring maybe together a little bit, I think it would do wonders. I have quit giving to the Michigan Republican Party, years ago because the money didn't go to the candidates, and I want my money. And it's still, even in the scenario we're in, if you want your candidate to get 100% of that money, you give it straight to the candidate. But I will tell you, with good leadership now in the Michigan Republican Party, I will once again give money to the Michigan Republican Party. It's not much, but I will give what I can. And but I think unity needs to happen, and it needs to happen quick. We're not going to unite with the RINOs. They're pieces of crap. But the conservatives that are kind of fractured right now from doing battle in the arena, I think just need to come together and make this thing happen. So give me your thoughts in the comments down below. I tried to cover everything, and hopefully I did. Just one other thing. I'm like getting too. It was brutal, folks. I've drove to Lansing, which is a 3-4 hour drive from my house, and my friend has livestock, and it's a 2-day event. So you go down Friday evening, then I would drive all the way back home so my friend could feed his animals, sleep for 60 minutes if I'm lucky, get in the car and drive all the way back. This time we didn't do that. Me and 2 other delegates rented a suite at a Holiday Inn and 2 queen beds and a pull-out couch in Howell, Michigan. So at least, that was a half-hour drive from the convention center. Got to the motel at midnight, got up at 6 a.m., and then it was a long day on that floor. And when I got home, it was 10 minutes to midnight. I was trashed all day Sunday. I mean, I barely stood awake to watch the Daytona 500. And I went to sleep. And I woke up this morning, and I'm still kind of got jet lag. So I'm glad I don't need to go down there for a couple of years. By the way, guess who just texted me, folks? Glad I held out for a little bit. I told Christina, because I do have her number. Congratulations. I will tell you what I said, actually. You see, you're getting the inside scoop. And all you people that didn't shut the video off and you're still watching, now you're going to get something. I said, "Good morning, Christina. Congratulations on your win. The establishment lost big time, even though I was there to support Matt. I felt good going into the last round knowing there was 0 chance of an establishment candidate winning." I just said that a while ago, didn't I? I already knew what the headlines would say if you were Matt won, and I see I was right. They are so predictable with a laughy face. That said, you now need to raise close to $50 million for us to be competitive in 2024. It's less than 2 years to Election Day, and time will go by quick. The large establishment donors most likely won't help. You will need new funding sources. I think they are out there, but you will just need to find them. I believe this, folks, I'm glad actually this reminded me to say this. I believe if Michigan's electoral votes don't go to the presidential Republican candidate in 2024, the Democrats will win and America will fall further into the abyss. Being kind, because, further into the pit of hell. I believe that. I like Seth Keshel right now to show me a roadmap to an electoral victory for the Republicans, because I think it's difficult, folks. We have a skewed system now with Prop 2 that passed in Michigan, other states. We know what's going on, right? I think it's going to be tough, and I think every electoral vote's going to count. And if Michigan doesn't go red, and remember in 2016, Trump only won Michigan by 10,000 votes. And somebody said, a video I watched early this morning, that he did that, we know part of the reason. But Hillary thought Michigan was They didn't need to campaign here. I think they thought they owned it, so they didn't spend advertising money here. So it was razor thin. Again, you know, we're a blue state. But it's going to be critical that it goes red this next go round. I wish you well and hope you are successful in turning Michigan red in 2024. God bless. In Liberty, Bill Bailey. She said, thank you, Bill. I greatly appreciate you. You are an American hero. And I will say thank you with a smiley face. Hang on, folks. This is important. I gotta hold on for just a second. Hang on. Why did I not see my smiley face? There we go. All right. So that was nice. And I want Christina to know that though we voted for Matt DePerno there, she won, and we've got to work together, folks, and make Michigan red, not communist red, you know, Republican red, Reagan red. How's that? We need to make it Reagan red. And so I think I hope Matt and Christina, if Christina was, you know, again, I'm not getting in the middle of anything. I actually think everybody will get along fine, but if Christina was smart in the group, you got to look at the big picture. And winning in 2024 is the big picture, because it may be the difference of saving America and the free world. And so that means whatever animosity there is or political slights, we join hands and we start kicking ass. And if we don't start doing it like really quick, we're going to lose Michigan. So that's it. All right, guys, I have somebody calling. I do need to answer this call. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you're new to this channel, would love for you to be a subscriber. It's a liberty-based channel. I share every morning. I will share in the community post some founding history, quotes of our founding fathers, and then talk about, you know, world politics, which I'm going to do another video on. It looks like we're full blowing into war. I mean, think about the optics of this for a second, folks. Joe Biden is meeting with Zelensky, promising him another $500 million, okay? And it's already spent over $100 billion, right? Said they're not leaving Ukraine, so that means they're going to go full war with Russia. So while he's over there protecting Ukraine's border and ours is wide open, and Donald Trump is on a plane and is going to East Palestine, Ohio, to visit Americans that are suffering. Unbelievable. So if you give this video, you know, thumbs up, that helps with the algorithm. Whenever you first start watching these videos, if you just do that out of habit. And love reading your comments. Comment down below. Share these videos on your social platform, and it will help grow this community. Tried to keep this video kind of short, but there's so much to go through, and when I'm done, I'm probably going to remember something else that I wanted to talk about. But that's it. So my advice is the same advice I give at the end of all my videos now, because of the state of the world and this country. We're heading into the greatest depression in World War III, and nothing has changed my mind about that, is to keep prepping and keep praying, my friends. Our world is going to turn dark and ominous as we head into the storm of humanity, in my opinion. Very possible where, you know, the last few pages of the last book of the Bible are playing out. I don't know, but it's not looking good. So let me know what you think again in the comments section below. May God bless you and keep your family safe. I will see you in the next video. Sons of Liberty, out.